Welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. How are we doing today? Well, we got a big show for you. Blues GM, president and GM, soon to be president, and not GM because Alexander Steen will be the GM. Set to join us here on Hockey Sense. Looking forward to a great conversation with Army, as we always do with we go very long. So here in the intro, we're not going to go nearly as long. We're going to go short so we can get to Army, because I know a lot of people are tuning in because they want to hear what the Blues GM has to say. And we get into a number of different topics and just kind of have a casual conversation as we typically do. Hockey Sense, brought to you by our friends over there at First Community. I saw them at the ballpark yesterday. At least I saw it on social media. I wasn't able to get to the ballpark. But again, not only do they support hockey here in St. Louis, unlike any other, but they support the Cardinals as well and do amazing work in the banking community. So if you run a business, for example, and I'm talking to you who are ready to take your business to the next level, First Community offers competitive rates on commercial loans, lines of credit, commercial credit cards too. Designed to help your business thrive, they have a dedicated team to help you get the funding you need so you can seize new opportunities. So if you didn't know First Community did commercial loans, now you do, because they do. But it's okay if you didn't know. Commercial vehicles, equipment, real estate, even SBA loans. First Community has been in business for over 90 years. They want to see your business grow. They're right here in town, too, in St. Louis. So check it out, firstcommunity.com. Blue Note Roofing, 314-920-5713. Give him a call today. Call David Novak. Talk some pucks with him. He'll give you his opinion on what's going on around the NHL. Loves talking hockey, but more importantly, he loves taking care of your roof, gutters, soffit, fascia, siding, whatever it is. 314-920-5713. Call David Novak today. Works with all of the big insurance companies. And if your roof is reaching or approaching 10 years of age, get the new roof now. A lot of times these insurance companies, they won't pay for it once it reaches 10 years. So if your roof is 10 years old, sometimes the insurance companies say, no, we're not going to pay for it. But if it's under 10 years, then they will pay for it. So get that free estimate. Get David Novak out there today. 314-920-5713. He's the best in the business. He'll talk pucks with you. I love talking hockey with you. He's at every game. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Download the app today for Dirt Cheap. They've got so many great deals on their app, they call them steals. Plus, they do free delivery if you live within 10 miles of a Dirt Cheap location. Just use that promo code BluesHockey. Don't sleep on the party supplies. All the paper goods, everything else they have going on in there. Dirt Cheap, Fun, your one-stop party shop. Best selection of beer, wine, and booze. The best selection of beer, wine, and booze. Plus, they got cigars. They have discounts on Blues game days. Let them take great care of you over there at Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. The Wallace family. Big shout out to Jason Wallace and everybody else. They take St. Louis to the next level. One Dirt Cheap at a time. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Cheap, fun. Lordo's Diamonds. LordosDiamonds.com. They've been in business for over 70 years. Say hi to Mike and Jimmy when you go in there. Let them take great care of you. Give you the best customer service you deserve and that you need. 314-432-8008. Right there in the heart of Ladue, right next to Truffles. You can't miss it. 314-432-8008. Best selection of engagement rings, too, if you're looking to pop that question. They've got great men's jewelry, too. Chains, watches, all of that. So it's not just for the ladies, but unbelievable selection of jewelry for all the females out there. You may walk in with a $100,000 budget. You may walk in there with a $500 budget or a $100 budget. Guess what? You're going to get treated exactly the same. That's what you get over at Lordo's Diamonds. LordosDiamonds.com. Check them out and check them out today. Easy Tiger Cannabis, EasyTigerAZ.com. Check out their great website. We love our friends over at Easy Tiger, smooth, high potency. Listen, no matter what you're dealing with, it could be sleep related, it could be pain related, health related. whatever it is, they've got something for you. Talk to one of their experts and get the best products for you. It could be gummies, it could be chocolates, it could be microdosing. I mean, whatever it is that you're looking for, flour, vapes, whatever it is you're into. Talk to the incredible staff, the expert staff at Easy Tiger. Easy Tiger AZ, they're so big they're going to be nationwide before you know it, all over the country. It's going to be the premier brand in the cannabis industry. Easy Tiger, baby. Proud sponsor of what we do here on Hockey Sense. Great hockey fans, too. All right, so the Blues win last night. They win 2-1 over San Jose. No Robert Thomas in the game. It is what it is. I mean, the league elected not to suspend Pierre-Luc Dubois. I could have gone either way with it. Maybe he could have gotten a game. I mean, there's no doubt that he took him down. But the league felt like there was not an intent to injure. Like the takedown wasn't necessarily intentional. Felt like the stick of Dubois kind of got lodged into Robert Thomas's skate. Thomas had his hand on his stick, couldn't get his arms free to brace the fall, hits his face on the ice. Cleared concussion protocol. He was deemed healthy by Jim Montgomery following Tuesday's game against Washington, which the Blues won. And I think a lot of people expected him to play last night against San Jose, but he wasn't able to. We'll see if he's in the lineup against Craig Berube and the Maple Leafs tomorrow night, Saturday night, at the Enterprise Center. Looking forward to that game. Should be a good one at the Enterprise Center coming up on Saturday with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So many things to get into. Philip Broberg was unbelievable last night. Logan Mailloux. I know people are getting upset with me about Logan Mailloux. I mean, come on. Now you see it. This is why patience is everything. And Doug Armstrong draws a great comparison to Alex Pietrangelo, and you'll hear his comments on that. But I remember with Petro, people were doubting whether or not he could play. Remember, he got sent back to junior not once, but twice? Had his 8-game stint, 9-game stint, whatever it was, and then they sent him back to Peoria at the time. And then he only ended up putting up a Hall of Fame career and having an incredible hockey career. Alex Pietrangelo, truly a great player. And Logan Mailloux, I don't know if he's going to turn into Petro or not. I don't know if he's going to become a true number one in the NHL, but he looks like he could be. Philip Broberg is a number one. But this guy is just exceptional. He's never going to be the Makars. He's never going to be the Quinn Hughes. He's never going to be the Lane Hudsons. He doesn't dance around, and he's not going to be a 100-point scorer or put up 80, 90 points. Listen, no one's ever going to put that type of pressure or expectation on Philip Broberg. But the big question is, can he get to 50 points? Can he get to 60 points? And now that he's a power play guy, he's certainly going to have that opportunity to establish himself as a premier player from an offensive perspective as well. And we all know he can defend. He can skate as well as anybody in the world. His skating is incredible. I asked these guys, these Swedes, I was talking to Otto Stenberg about this. I talked to Theo Lindstein a little bit about it, Broberg too. Like, why are they all such good skaters? You watch them in the World Juniors. You just watch all these Swedes sprinkled throughout the NHL. These guys can all skate. And it's not like they were going to power skating camps and they were doing all these specialized skating skill skates all the time. They just worked on skating every day in practice. And they all say, hey, listen, the first 20, 30 minutes of every practice, they did skating. Which I don't think we do enough all the time here in St. Louis. I don't think we do enough. We spend enough time during practice skating. We spend too much time on the board and not enough time skating. I think skating is so important. Now, the kids may not want to hear that because the kids don't want to do that at the beginning of every practice. But even if it's 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, listen, it's a lot of the practice time. You get 120 minutes for a practice. 90 minutes sometimes, actually. You don't get 120 minutes. What am I talking about? 80 minutes, 80 to 90 minutes you're getting for practice. So to spend a third of that on skating, I know it takes up a lot of time, but the kids will certainly benefit from that. Anyway, all right. I want to get to Army. So I don't want to spend much time on just giving my opinion and talking about this and that. We get into so much stuff about the Blues. You're going to love this conversation. Doug Armstrong joins me next here on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Stay with us, enjoy it. We're at Half Coast Studios. Aiden is here. Here's Army. All right, back here on Hockey Sense. Great to have Doug Armstrong back on the show with us. Army, it's been a while. But it's been one of those years, man, that you've been so busy, obviously everything going on with the Olympics and whatnot, and I know the year hasn't gone exactly the way that you had planned it. So describe this year for me. From your perspective, overall, everything you've been doing, what's it been like, man? It's got to be very hectic.
Yeah, I don't hectic's not the right term. I think you had a vision of how we were gonna play, uh, the Blues were gonna play this year. We thought we had brought in 2 younger players last year in Broberg and Holloway, brought in a new coach. We seemed to find some good footing the second half of last year. We had a strong finish, returning the majority of the core, almost all, well, the full core of that group. We just thought we were going to continue to grow in a positive fashion, and we had a poor opening game, but then I didn't think in game 2 we played great, but the second half we played better in Calgary. Then we played an excellent game in Vancouver, and I just said, okay, we found our footing now. We'll continue to grow. We'll learn. And then we were horrendous in that home game against Chicago, game 4. And then our home record was really poor. And coming off of how good it was last year, and that was just the start of a tumultuous year where really nothing was going well. We didn't handle the adversity well at all as an organization. Uh, a lot of disappointment, and then people wanted to make a difference, and they almost they overworked in certain areas, thinking that it was all on them. And the more they did that, the worse it got. The only way you come out of these things is as a team. And it took us a long time to become a team and rely and trust on each other. Yeah, so the year has gone uh, nowhere near the way we thought it was. We thought we were going to be competitive. We thought we'd end up somewhere between 95, 93 to 100 points. That would have been a good year. If we were getting growth from Dvorsky and getting growth from Holloway and Broberg, we made the Mayu trade. We just thought we would stabilize and get better and stronger and trust different people. And that didn't go well. We get to the trade deadline. We just reconfirmed what we did 2 or 3 years ago when we traded O'Reilly and Tarasenko and Akjari and Mikula, that we were going one direction. We're trying to do it, serve two masters, stay competitive with veteran players and let young players grow. And this season proved that wasn't going to be sustainable. So we've moved on from some very good veteran players that have left a mark on this franchise and in this league. And we've opened the door for the young guys, and they're taking charge, or they're taking control of that now. Now, I'm a little, I don't put as much stock into the play this year as I did last year, because we're playing totally with house money. And I think we're going to have a great summer and a great training camp and come back with a very steely, determined focus to grow.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. And when I say hectic, I was talking about your personal schedule,
Oh,
just dealing with everything. You've been traveling, you've been going everywhere, all over the place, with all your responsibility with Hockey Canada and whatnot, and managing the Blues at the same time. So that was the
yeah,
hectic
yeah.
part.
Well,
You
I
racked up
think
the miles there, Army.
Yeah, I think the hectic comes with playing poorly. That the travel, we do the travel anyways. I'm my management styles. I love to get out and scout. I love to watch, stay current with what's happening in the NHL. I just was able to do that looking at two different sets of players. Ones you could acquire for your team, and the other ones you have never a chance to acquire for Team Canada. And so it was a great experience. The Olympics were a great experience. Obviously, I was hoping to be on the positive end of the final game. The hockey gods sort of spoke that night, that it was somebody else's turn, but I was unbelievably privileged to work with those coaches and players. Um, we did everything we could do except score goals in that game. Statistically, expected goals for, we did everything we could. We just didn't win. And I tip my hats to Hellebuck, and we move forward.
Yeah, I got to spend some time with Coop in Vancouver, after their game. We talked for a long time. I love the way that he put it. He said, "Listen, we won the game but lost the score," which is pretty much, I guess that's one way to look at it, right? I mean, and it's pretty accurate when you see how it all played out. You touched on my next question was going to be how you looked at the end of last year, the run you guys had last year versus the run that you had this year. Because last year, the run that you had created the expectations heading into this year. So, are you pumping the brakes a little bit as we head into next season to say, "Hey, listen, we got to be ready to go," and you're just not going to get caught up in how you play after, once you're kind of on the outside looking in?
Yeah, and it's funny because the management, my inner circle, you know, we were nervous going into training camp, and I don't think we had a great training camp.
Mm.
Uh, we were just checking a box of training camp to get ready for the season. We didn't put enough work in. We didn't put enough detailed work in. Uh, and it showed early, and hopefully the guys have learned their lesson. Hopefully the coaches have learned their lesson on that, the management group, that every year is its own year, and you better be prepared. This game waits for no one. Um and also the difference for next year is we're relying on younger players to do that. Like you're a little disappointing. You have a veteran team that can't pull it together because they have the scars to know what it takes. A young team is going to learn that, but I'm also hoping youthful enthusiasm carries through camp where we're at a top pace. The tempo was extremely high. They understand that they're coming from an underdog position. I think last year's team felt we were sort of taking back what we felt was ours. Where this year or next year, I hope this organization believes that they're going to earn what they should, what they want to become.
How different do you think? And I know we're a ways away from that, but in terms, you've got the 3 first-round picks. You've got some young players in the organization. Well, the approach, like, what do you think the approach will be heading into next season this summer? Are you going to look to try to make a splash and really change the overall look of the organization, or are you going to be patient here and let this team kind of grow together?
Well, as I said, I don't think we've altered from 3 years ago.
Hmm.
We haven't done anything crazy. We've waited for Stenberg and Lindstein and Dvorsky to mature enough to be able to play. They're 20 years old, first round picks, all from the same draft. We're going to grow with this team. I don't think, you know, now and anything can happen, but I see us using these 3 first rounders, these are select players, maybe package picks to move up to get a higher player, using a roster player in one of those picks to move up to get something different or to get a player. Really, what you want to have is assets, and we have assets. We believe we have a good stable of young players. We believe we have. I know for a fact we have the most first round picks over the last 4 years in hockey. And those, some of those are numbers and some of those are names. So I think Alex is going to have a wide variety of assets to use. It reminds me quite a bit of when I got here in 2008 to 2000, work as player personnel, and then 10, where, you know, the quite honestly, I do believe the easy thing is to get the assets. Then at some point you have to build a team. And I think we're one step closer to building a team now.
There's a difference when a goaltender gets hot versus just being really good, and I think everyone would agree that Joel Hofer is a really good goaltender. He's got a lot of potential, and you got an iconic goaltender in Jordan Binnington. How do you look at that moving forward now, Army? I mean, do you believe that you got to have 2 guys, but it's not like Jordan's an aging player and he can't play, and so how do you balance that? That can't be easy, especially when somebody's playing as well as Joel Hofer is.
Yeah, I think it's an organizational outlook. Like if you're going to, we're going to try and be as respectful to everyone as we can. But if you have a goalie of Hofer's age doing what he's doing, and then you have, Broberg and Holloway and Neighbors and Mayu and now Dvorsky, Stenberg, Winstein, you'd be crazy not to hope they all grow together. And Joel has done his work right now. I think if you look at his October, November, and I don't, let's just say you arbitrarily pick December 1st. I'm not sure there's a better goalie statistically in the league than him. So this isn't just what has he done since the Olympic break. This has been a while now, and there's a belief that he can be the guy. And uh, now his job is you know he was nipping at the heels of Jordan Bennington, and now Jordan Bennington's job is to nip at his heels. That's sport. That internal competition you and I have talked about all the time is better than external.
Mhm.
When you have guys having to push each other just to get on the ice, just to have the opportunity to be in goal or play the power play or kill penalties or be on the ice with up or down a goal because there's someone there that can do that job. That's internal competition pushes greater than external. But with Joel Hofer, he's making a statement. He's making a statement that he wants to be a number one goalie in NHL. His body of work now has shown that his trajectory is like that, and now you just keep putting it in the net and see how it unfolds.
Yeah, he could very well be the starting goaltender for Canada in that World Cup 2 years from now, and 4 years
Yes,
from now,
yeah.
the Olympics. I, I don't want to sound too crazy. I don't know if his name ever came up to make the Olympic team this year. I mean, I think Darcy.
Well, like we had a group of players that we called after we named our team of replacement players, and he was on that initial list, like because that was but that window was short.
Yeah,
you know and quite honestly, he was at the bottom of that list just
yeah,
because of
experience.
and again, Kenny Collin calls it the podium test. Like would Team Canada really take the two goaltenders from a 30th place team to the Olympics?
I think Minnesota,
And
well,
so
30th place team. Yeah, that's the difference because Minnesota took two, right? For
yeah,
Sweden took
yeah,
two
but
from Minnesota.
uh, and Joel didn't have the resume to go. Let's
Yeah, of
be
course.
honest, he didn't have the resume that some of the other guys had. But now that resume is getting built up. He's going to have the opportunity to continue to play here. Um, again, I'm not associated with Hockey Canada anymore, but they got the World Championships coming up the next few years. If we're a non-playoff team, like if you want to get on the radar screen from Hockey Canada, you got to play in these events. He went to the World when I was the manager, and we won. But Montembeault, that was his coming out party. You have to have a coming out party somewhere, and Joel's having it right now in the NHL, which is great to see.
All right, I'm going to try to get you to answer this as honest as possible because the fans, although, listen, I'm watching 18,000 fans last night. They're loving it. They want to see you guys win. You guys win in dramatic fashion and overtime, and it's always fun to see a win like that at home. But, you got the draft coming up, and so, some fans, why did they keep winning? You want to see them lose. You want to see them get in position to get a big dog in the draft. I mean, every great team in the league has a guy. You almost need a guy nowadays, and the only way you get one is to get one of those top picks in reality, unless you find a way to trade for one. But by that time, they're usually at an advanced age. So, as management, how do you look at it down the stretch here when you're focusing on the draft moving forward and then you've got the rest of the schedule to play out?
Yeah, we actually were quite honest with our players on this. Is that after the deadline, like your job is to win hockey games, and the difference between you winning now and before is we're gonna put challenges in front of you, meaning we're gonna bring up younger players. We're gonna play younger players in key roles, and and so I look at it as it's a win-win, Andy. Like if we brought those guys up and they just weren't quite ready, and we were paying the price with points, that's okay. They're getting experience. But the other night, like you have Dvorsky to Stenberg in the net. You had Dvorsky scoring the other night. You got Holloway last night. You got Mayu playing 20 minutes. So we're winning off the back of the players we want to win with in the future. So I look at it as it was a win-win. If we were winning off the back of 30-year-olds every night, then we'd probably adjust our lineup to make sure that didn't happen, but that's not the case. Well, we're winning off the back of our younger players. Like I look at that Robert Thomas line now. He's got what, a 20, 21-year-old winger and a 23, 24-year-old. Like that could be if that takes hold, that could be a group that plays together for 5, 6 years. And if we'll be good in that 5 or 6 years, I guarantee the Blues will be good in that. And so we're growing, we're learning. Yeah, would you, like, everyone wants the first overall pick? Nobody wants to go earn the right. Now, maybe we can win some games and win the lottery. That, you never know. But to answer your question, yeah, we don't want to lose, but if we're going to win, we want to win off the backs of the people we're winning off of and giving those experiences. Like, you know, when you look at how we deployed Mayu at the start of the year,
Hmm.
we didn't, like, in hindsight, we should have put him with Fowler right off the get-go. but we buried him on the third line. You're the third pair, and it cost him and it cost us. Now we bring up Lindstein, and where does he play? With Parenko. So we're putting guys in positions, and we're going to see how they do. And we're, at least from my perspective, as will be the future team president, I'm excited that we're putting players in areas where it's difficult. And I feel for the veteran players that have lost some of their stature in some of those situations, but we've created this situation now, and that's the way that I, as the team president, believe we need to move ahead, is putting guys, younger players, in spots and living with the results. But also living with the positive results isn't a bad thing either.
Mayu got so mad at me last night because he was the third star, and we interviewed the number one star, and he came to do the interview after being the third star. I'm like, no, it's not you, it's the number one star. So he was like, what do you mean? So then he had to walk away. So I was like, go be the number one star Saturday night, then you come do the interview and you're the number one star.
He's played, and that's the exciting part. I guess if you want to look for silver linings in a year. I remember talking with you guys at the start of the year about Mayu, and I said, we're not going to judge us over the first 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I hope he gets off to a great start, but we're going to judge us over a couple of years. And I know because we're in a what have you done for me lately world. Boldy gets off, scores some goals early. He gets off to a slow start, and it's gloom and doom. And the different, like, I want Boldy to be a really good Montreal Canadian, and I want May to be a really good St. Louis Blue. I don't judge the success of our trade that the other guy goes and plays poorly. But that was the narrative, in October, November. Now it looks like it's what I want this to be, and I think Montreal, it's everybody's happy. They like Boldu, we like Mayu, we have a right shot D. They got a forward that they can grow with. So that, I think the hardest part for management, and that's what I'm working with Alex on, and our group, is that you have to eliminate the white noise, and the white noise is those constant. What did you do last night? You're a good or bad person or player. I don't look at it like that. I think that that's short sighted, and to really enjoy the success with someone like Logan, you have to go through the tough times. And I think, with him, with Holloway when he first got here at the start of the year to how he finished, with Broberg, we've seen the growth there, that if they know that we're going to push them, we're going to prod them, we're going to be hard on them, but ultimately we want them to succeed, then they return that in favor.
Yeah. And maybe he goes and plays in the World Championships too. I mean, a lot of these guys are you got a lot of Canadians who you just mentioned, Holloway too. Maybe these guys are going to have an opportunity to continue to play after the season if you don't make the playoffs. Have you ever had a situation where you made a trade and it just looks not very good in the early going, and you question yourself, well, did I make the right decision? And then all of a sudden things just change quickly, and you start feeling good about it. I mean, because it's easy, like you said, to block out the white noise, but sometimes that's difficult because you're watching the games, especially when a player's struggling.
Yeah,
Like,
I would
how
say
hard is it to be patient with that?
for me, that trade, it's easy to be patient because you understand that it's going to take time. The ones where when you're a winning organization and you're putting a final piece onto the team, a first round pick, and the guy comes in and there's just no synergy, then you question what you're doing. But the Holloway, the Broberg, the Mayu, that you just had to give them runway, pulling up, these young guys, you just got to give them runway. So I don't find those ones as hard because it takes longer. The ones where what you're doing is for today. You're making this decision because you want to be better today, and it doesn't work. Then you want to peel back the layers to why you made that decision. Why isn't it working? And make sure you don't make that same mistake.
Yeah. And Fowler's playing way better too. I mean, I know they're not playing together now, but I think he's plus 10, plus 11 or something like that since the Olympic break.
Yeah, and again, I wish I had the answer to why we couldn't change our outlook. But we had, and the players will say this too. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. Organization, we didn't have anyone having a good year, and that never happens. Like, that never happens when you have not one player having a statistically better year than they had the year before. And we didn't have that. Like, we didn't have one player. And I think the pressure of the moment of underperforming, the desire to want to overperform, and not the maturity and the mental toughness as an organization, not the players, as the organization, the management, the coaches. We didn't push the right buttons. We didn't handle it well either. And I think that bled into the team.
How do you look at Jordan Kyrou? Yeah, it's interesting because in Vancouver, I'm looking at Brock Besser. I mean, some Besser has a reputation of being like this elite goal scorer. I think he's gotten to 30 goals like one time in his career. I think Connor maybe has just gotten to 30 goals for 3 consecutive years. I mean, I think that's what Kyrou obviously did. And the puck isn't going in for him this year the way that we've seen in the past. But um, how do you look at that? Like, I mean, he's a guy like, can you ever look at guys like, sometimes we ask them to be the alpha on the team and drive the bus, and maybe that's not who they are, but they're really, really good complementary players. If you can get some players to maybe play ahead of them and slot him in where he can just be comfortable and score 25 to 30 goals every year as a complimentary guy, then you're in good shape. Like, how do you look at a guy like Kyrou?
Yeah, I guess I just look at it differently than most people. Like if you're going to play 15 years in the league, 12 years in the league, and you think every year is going to be a Rembrandt and it's going to go with nothing's going to go wrong and everything is, you're living in a fantasy world.
I agree.
And organizationally, we had our whole team like that. But Jordan Kyrou is a goal scorer. His speed is dynamic. Uh, like I'm like you, like you know, I view Jordan. I say Jordan Kaiser's a 30 goal scorer. He's done it multiple occasions. We need him to do it. I value him like that. And so he didn't have a great year, but get in line. I didn't have a great year. Montgomery didn't have a great year. The players didn't have a great year. Uh, but it doesn't make us dumb at what we do or bad people. Our goal is to be better. That's our goal. And I trust that he'll be better.
I want to go back to what you said, though. What happened in training camp? You haven't mentioned, and in fairness, I'll let the fans know, you knew this before the season started. Because I remember we were talking, like you felt like you didn't, even that Dallas game, that preseason game, they brought their A lineup. You guys didn't have your A lineup in the lineup for that night. Your A lineup played the last 2 preseason games against B lineups. I got the feeling after we talked that day that you weren't crazy about your training camp even then. You didn't need the first 10, 15, 20 games of the season to tell you that.
It was organizational arrogance. That's what it was. And it came from they'd earned that arrogance. So like they played so well, you know, for a large portion of the second half of last year. Even when we weren't winning, we were playing good hockey, and then the wins follow. Like the hockey gods, that's what I love about the hockey gods is they make you earn it. So you might be on a big winning streak, but it usually starts with the 4 losses before that you're playing better, and they make sure you're going to sustain that, and then you win. And so we had a good push. We obviously felt we should have beat Winnipeg. 999 out of 1,000 games. If we play that, we win that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give up 2 goals like that. And then I just thought our organizational arrogance that and it led with me. I thought as I said to you at the start of this interview, I thought we were going to be fine. I thought we were going to have 95 points, 100 points. We were going to be battling. But in training camp, I don't think we worked hard enough on our practices. I think that we viewed training camp as a necessary evil for the season. And, we talked about inputting, we wanted to run back last year's lines. We wanted to run back last year's D. We wanted to live in yesterday, and it cost us. It cost us big.
This year has been a crazy year, though, all around. I mean, the condensed schedule. Just look at the Eastern Conference right now. How many teams won't make the playoffs that made the playoffs last year? It's kind of a weird year. Like, what do you make out of it with the condensed schedule and the Olympic year? Can you force yourself not to read too much into this year because it's a different season, or you don't look at it that way?
Well, I don't look at it because this is the norm now. Like every other year, you're going to play this schedule.
Yeah.
Because you're going to either have the World Cup, then you're going to take the World Cup's probably longer than the Olympics. So you have to send people from the NHL to Europe, give them time to get on that time zone to play the games, to bring them back from Europe to give them time So what would the time zone be from Prague to Alberta? Probably 9 hour time change, 8 or 9, let's say.
Mhm.
Like you're not going to leave on a Wednesday and play on a Friday,
Right.
you know. So these are like we're going to shut our league down every other year for the better part of the month, and so this condensed, so it is what it is. It's real. You have to learn how to deal with it. So I don't use that as anything that and everyone did it too. So it's not like one team had to do it. Now, what I think the difference in the East, Andy, is that Detroit, Buffalo, Jersey, Columbus have been acquiring top assets for almost a decade.
Mhm.
And at some point, the things align, and they're all going to be very good. And the Floridas and the Tampas are our strong teams, and those strong teams are going to stay good because players want to play in those markets right now. They're good. They're run by good managers. They have good coaches, and they have the ability to acquire players because you make more money in those states than you do not in those states. Like I know people don't. It's real. It's real. And so when you're and Gary says that, like when you're a well-run organization and you have a tax break, it's an advantage. When you're a poorly run organization and have a tax break, it's not an advantage.
Mhm.
And I tip my hat to those teams, Vegas, like Dallas. They have excellent management, and they have the benefit of of taxes to get players to go play there. Not only taxes, it's lifestyle. Uh, but in the East now, there's going to be a changing of the guards. Like those teams are not going to go away. Like I look at the Red Wings, and I think Steve Eisman has done an unbelievable job with Detroit. They haven't made the playoffs in a while, but that's a real team. And you look at the goal they have at Michigan State. You look at their prospect list. He's done a hell of a job there, and it's that gratification. What has he done today? Why aren't we in it today? But I don't know if there's probably 28 managers in the NHL that wouldn't say, do you want to swap organizations for the next decade? That wouldn't say, I'll take Detroit's.
Yeah.
So my point is, in the West too, there has been a changing of the guards. Like L.A., St. Louis, Chicago. We were the cream of the crop for a while, and we're sort of the last one of the cream of the crop that's going through the retool or the rebuild. Chicago got there earlier, and then L.A., and now we just want to get into it later and come out of it quicker.
Yeah. Trey Augustine's the goalie you're talking about from
Yeah, he's
Houston State. He
outstanding.
stood on
Yeah,
his head last night. He was unbelievable.
yeah.
So from Michigan State. How do you look at the 19-year rule in the American League? You're going to have Carbonneau coming in potentially. You got Yersak. Who knows? He could make your team next year. We'll see how that plays out, I guess. But is that something you would be in favor of and that you could really take advantage of?
I'd have to say that I'm in the group that if it's not broken, don't fix it. The NHL, like 2/3 of our first round picks come from the CHL. That's our biggest feeder of players. Uh, and what makes the CHL a good league is that 17-year-olds have to play against good 19-year-olds, and it makes them better.
Yeah.
If that league loses 2/3 of their best players every year, you know, the league's going to be watered down. Now, the difference, Andy, too, is a lot of those 19-year-olds were going to leave anyways
Go to college.
for the NCAA. So I don't feel quite as nervous. I wish, it's not broken now. If the NCAA didn't have the nil money in it and that wasn't an option now, then I would be 100% against this. But if they're moving anyways, we might as well get control of them, because you look at the NCAA, not every 19-year-old is prepared for that. And I think when people think of this rule, they think, well, it's the Celebrinis of the world. No, no, it's what you're talking about. It's the guys that are taking 18, 21, 25. Like if you're taking in the late 20s and you're going to go play and you're 19, you're going to play against the average freshman's 21, play against juniors that are 23, you might not be ready for that. And so I think the CHL allows you to be the top dog. One of the things I learned from Steve Eisenman when I worked for him, I asked him about, what made him a good pro. He said, like in Peterborough, he played 5-on-6, 6-on-5. He killed penalties on the power play. So when he got in the NHL, he had something to refer back to. And that usually is your 19-year-old. Now, Eisenman was a top pick. He didn't play there, but uh, if you don't have anything to refer back to when you're asked to in the NHL and you fail, like why would we be surprised that you failed? So I love the 19-year-old being in the CHL because it makes them take a leadership role. It makes them carry a team. But also I know that the landscape around that has changed. But we'll have no effect on it. It won't affect the Blues the way it sits now. Uh, if we draft 3 normal CHL 18-year-olds, they can't go this year. Carbonell was a late birthday, so he's going to turn pro anyways. So it doesn't affect him. Juracek, it would have affected Juracek this year, but next year it wouldn't affect. He's turning pro anyway. So we're actually, the way we sit today with our roster, we'll have no 19-year-olds that could be eligible for that. Now I say that, let's say we draft 3 late birthdays from the CHL, they all could be eligible for that. So it's just a different dynamic that we're going to have to work around. And but I'm a big believer. Like if the CHL has done a great job, and you better be careful biting the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. A couple more things for you. Philip Broberg, he's playing like a number one. I mean, he plays in every situation, and he's just impacting the game all over the ice. His overtime last night was just the final play. It kind of tells you everything you need to know. But do you see him, like you look at the flashy number ones nowadays, and you obviously saw it at the Olympics with Makar, and you see Quinn Hughes, and you see all these other guys. Could he eventually leap into that level of production where, I mean, those guys are putting up close to 100 points.
Yeah,
80, 90
no,
points.
I wouldn't want to put that pressure on.
Could he be a 50-point guy? Like, could you see, like, is that the next step for him offensively to be able to, he creates so much, but now establishing that next level of finish and creativity and playmaking?
Well, the one thing I can guarantee, he'll never get there if you don't play the power play.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to acquire points in the power play as an offensive defenseman. They don't come 5-on-5.
Yeah.
And he's getting power play opportunity now. He's a player that we really liked. Obviously, we went to extraordinary methods to try and acquire him, and he's better than I thought he was.
He is.
And we had high expectations.
Better than you thought he was.
He's better than I thought he was going to be. He looks like a legitimate top pair NHL defenseman that can dictate the tempo of a game. Again, comparables are always hard, but he's not a lot different than Petro. Petro didn't put up gaudy points, but he killed plays. He could make passes. He affected the game in so many different ways. Sort of the same body type where they're not going to run you over, but they're going to win more 50-50 battles than they lose. They're going to come out of the corner with the pucks. They make excellent first passes. They can join the attack. They have excellent hockey sense on when to pull out, when to push. Like Petro's in my Mount Rushmore of guys I work with, and I know Broberg's not there now, but where he's playing now, he's trending towards being that level of defenseman.
I keep in touch with Jay McKee. Petro's name comes up all the time too when we talk about Juracek. Like, just, I mean, he's playing junior right now, but just in terms of his style of play and how he impacts the game. So
yeah, well, I'm actually going to go after our game against Toronto. I'm going to go to London and then Sudbury for a couple of days to watch the playoffs there. So I got a week of Ontario scouting there. I got to see if it's still snowing in Sudbury or not. But I'm looking forward to watching him play in the playoffs down there. We have high expectations for him, and that's Tony Feltrin and his staff. They've done a really good job. Like, you look at those 3 kids from that one draft are all in the league now, and are they in the league because we're a bad team and give them the opportunity? Yes. But do they look like they shouldn't be in the league? No. And that's exciting moving forward. We have a couple of other players that we might give an opportunity to from the American League this year that have earned that right. So I think that Alex Steen, he's going to have a lot of tools to work with as he creates a roster that's sustainable, and that's off the back of Tony Felcher and his staff.
Lindstein's I don't want to say a surprise for me, but like his skating is unbelievable. And I pay attention obviously when he's in the American League. Can't watch the games, but I see minus 23 and I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then he comes up here, it's like almost like he's like the poster child for a better fit in the NHL than maybe the American League, you know?
Well, I also think, being in the American League as at that age, never playing there, and we didn't have a good team down there either. Like,
Yeah.
organization hasn't been a great year. Let's be honest. But like I was sitting with Al McGinnis last night, who obviously I any comment I want to make about defense when I ask him, and I said that this guy has surprised me because I don't notice him. I don't even know when he's on the ice anymore.
Exactly.
He makes subtle plays. He moves the puck. He's in the attack at the right time. He's not getting beat in front of the net. And Al, that's like Al's comment to me. We never talk about him. That means he's having a hell of a game. And I think that does his game transfer more to the NHL than the American League? I don't want to get overcome with a small sample size on carefree hockey. But I've been very impressed with what he's been able to do, and I give Colton Parenko a lot of credit for that too. Like he brought him in, he's worked with them, he's making sure that he's sharing his experiences, and I think he's the benefactor of that too.
Yeah, I talked to Lindstein about that yesterday. We did a pregame interview. But it's brilliant analysis on your part, honestly, just in terms of how you had articulated that, because it's so true. You don't notice him a ton during the game, but when you do, he just pops with his ability to close in on guys and gap up on guys.
Yeah.
How's Steve Ott doing?
T-Bots, he's done very well down there. Again, the organization hasn't been a great year, and we had to make a hard decision on someone I really respect in Connell. But Otter's enthusiasm. So this is the way I look at it. Like, Otter was going to get that new coach bump because he brings unreal energy, unreal enthusiasm to a group, but that wanes. That wanes. Then it becomes X's and O's. Then it becomes matchups. Then it becomes holding players accountable. And he's transferred from the energy to the coaching now, as well as we had hoped, maybe even better. And now we have these junior players and college players that seasons are ending when we're going to have American League games left. We signed Trudeau, and Otter knows he's going to play him right in that area and see what he can do. Barring anything absolutely crazy, which I'm not counting on. The Stenbergs and the Lindsteins will have an opportunity to play playoff hockey down there. The Final Four, like if Michigan State loses a guy like Ralph has his decision to make, Carbonneau and Juracek, like if they get bumped early, like there's an opportunity for that to be really exciting April and May down there if we get the guys down there. But to Odd, I know he's ready for that challenge. He's done a very good job there. And what now is, as I said, that new coach bump, that enthusiasm, that energy is gone, and he's proving to everyone that he has a tactical and emotional stability to guide a franchise. I think he's an NHL head coach. I think another year down there, and then you need the opportunity. But I think he has all the traits of what I believe is a good NHL coach.
Yeah, so he will be down. He's your coach down there for next year, right? He's got a contract and whatnot. Is that
no? He doesn't have a contract, so we'll obviously work towards getting that done. I think that his relationship with myself goes back a number of years. His relation with Alex, as teammates, I hope he believes we're his best avenue to get to the NHL. I believe we're his best avenue to get to the NHL, and then we're going to work towards that. And what I like about Otter, his head is where his feet are, and he and his family have made that commitment, and I expect that he'll be down there next year, because that's the best growth for the best place to grow. And like, one of the things that we try and impress on the guys is, like, make sure you get to wherever you're going to go, the final destination, at the right time. Don't get there too early, because when you get there too early, you can get out of there too early. So the foundation building is really important for Steve, and I think he's doing a great job building that now.
Any story of how that went down? I mean, like, when did you start thinking? Like, was that during the? I think we were in Edmonton. Like, you
Yeah,
just
well, it was is Steve and I have talked about him taking that American League step the last couple of years, you know, but he felt there was more to learn here, and that's what I like about Steve. He has a plan, you know, and his plan was to gain as much information here as he could, and then he was going to go apply it, you know, um, and yeah, so the team wasn't going well down there. Uh, Yeah, I hate you hate making coaching changes at any level,
yeah.
but very rarely do you do it in the middle of the season at the American League level. Uh, but there was just enough information there that we needed to try something different. And it wasn't that it was again more organizational than it was on Connell, but ultimately someone always pays the price, the manager, the head coach, the assistant, like a player. Like when things aren't going good, like the gun fires the bullet, it always hits somebody.
Mhm. Yeah.
You just don't know who it's going to hit. Uh, but when I talked to Steven and Alex and I went through the process of, you know, and I went to him, it took him, I said, call your wife. He goes, I don't need to call my wife. It's time. And he went and, I felt bad for Jim because I didn't tell him what we were doing. I told him it was done before. I didn't tell him we were thinking about it because you know, sort of stay in your lane. Um, but I could see his mind. He was happy for Otter, but he was also white as a ghost because he understood what Otter was doing for him and for us. And then ultimately he supports Otter. But like every decision has an effect, and it affects a lot more than people think. You know, whether it affected Monty and his staff, but it also affected Erica and their kids
Mhm.
and his hockey, the kids' hockey, and how their life was going to change. It's a, you know, the fans are awesome. They love us between 7 and 9:30 most nights, but it's the rest of the time that's the real life, and the real life part of it is sometimes not fair. But to a guy like Otter to take that leap of faith in himself to wanting to reach the goal to be a head coach, I'm very proud of him.
Okay, and well said, and I'm happy for Otter too. All right, last thing, because I don't get too caught up in this. I know a lot of people do, but with Steiner taking over, it's just kind of going to be just we'll see how it evolves. But for the sake of the question, who runs the draft, and then you get into free agency? Like how does is there
Yeah, I
like
can
an
answer that. That's easy.
inauguration,
That I
process like a president? Okay, now you just turn it over. I mean,
Yeah, no, that's going to be easy. I'm going to run the draft.
yeah,
That's my, I have the background, I have the information, I have the experience, uh, and we have the assets where this is a massive draft for the St. Louis Blues.
yeah,
Now, saying run it, like Alex was
of
with
course.
me side by side last year. You know, we altered our list a little bit because of the Mayu trade. Uh, take Carbonell. There's little things that you do in the draft that comes with experience. And Tony Feltrin is like, at the end of the day, we take who Tony tells us to take. We don't tell Tony who we're taking. That's I've shared that with Alex. Like, if you want to be a bad manager, you start picking players at the draft. These guys spend years looking at these guys. They know them inside and out. And your one-off scouting is a death nail. It's a death nail. So Tony Feltrin it will be making that decision. But what Alex and I are going to do is poke and prod at him on why it's that player, and then say, okay, I don't want to give away too many trade secrets, but what happens if we take that pick and this player and we can get into there? Does that player represent a big enough difference from the guy we're going to get? That's a yes or no answer. And we live with that yes or no answer.
Yeah.
And that's moving up, moving back. Uh, but that's a great question. I won't expand too long. But after the trade deadline, Alex and I met with the players, and I said to the players, like, from your perspective, as of today, Alex Steen's the GM. Like, the trades are done, the waivers are done. This is our team. Uh, Alex is going to handle the exit meetings. He has to set up next year for you guys. I don't have to set up next year for you. That's his job. But with the draft, that's my job. And then, um, sort of going in there, like I'll be the singular voice up until July 1st, because there's going to be a lot of questions. What about this? What about that? What about this? And misinformation or too much stuff getting out. And Alex and I have talked about that. We're both think that's the best way to go. But on July 1st, Alex Steen has his hands fully on the on ice product for the St. Louis Blues. Um, and his focus is going to be the coaching staff, the training staff, and the players. And what I'm going to do is support him in the other areas as he can learn that. Alex is ready for this job, but he hasn't been at a ton of scouting meetings. He hasn't been at a lot of those things that like GMs that have been like I was an assistant for a decade. And so was I ready for it? I was as ready as I was ever going to be. And I still had a lot to learn. Alex is doing this over a couple of years. So having Tony, having myself, having other guys that he can rely on is going to be important. But the reason that Alex is the manager, because I firmly believe, and more important, it doesn't matter what I believe, Mr. Stillman believes that he can handle the on-ice product. And that started after the trade deadline.
Yeah. And he didn't go to the GM meetings with you, correct? Like it's just...
No, it's only one per team at those GM meetings. So he'll go to the next one. Actually, we had someone from the league there, the security director, who's a really nice man, came and sat with us for the second period yesterday in the game, and we introduced him to Alex, and they talked a little bit, and he said, "I'll see you in November," and that was a eye opener to me that he won't be seeing me, and that'll be the first time in a long time.
Never say never, Army. Never say never. All right, all the best, man. Listen, I appreciate you doing this, and I know it's been kind of a crazy year, so but it's never a bad time to have you on. So and Cam and I had Lou Lamoriello back on yesterday. You're gonna want to listen to that. We had a great conversation with him.
He was one of my favorite guys. He's a legend.
So funny. We had a really good time with him. Made him laugh several times, actually. So
well, Cam probably made him cry. Now it's a laughter.
Cam didn't wear a hat. First time ever on the podcast. He didn't wear a hat for.
Did he shave?
He didn't shave.
Oh.
Which I looked it up yesterday because I saw Nick Leddy playing for San Jose. I was like, God, when he played for Lou, because Lou was on my mind because we just talked to him yesterday. And I had to look it up. And Nick Leddy, he didn't have a beard when he played for the Islanders. He looks so different.
A quick story. So we trade Bortz to the Islanders. We're in Columbus and trade him at noon. And I said, what time's your flight? He said 5. I said, well, let's get a coffee at like 2:30. And so we're having, okay, he walks down, he's clean shaven. I said, wow, that didn't take long.
Geez. So, hey, Lou did give us a great answer. Like, I'm curious your take on the whole goalie interference. Like, where do you stand on goalie interference? Are you confused by it, or do you feel pretty confident going into the actual review what the outcome's going to be?
I feel I probably get 85% right when I watch it, so I'm comfortable with it. I'm actually comfortable with it. Like it's a difficult job in the moment. Your eyes can play tricks on you depending on what team you want to get a goal or not get a goal. But when you look at it the next morning, the league does a great job too. Like they send out every offside, every review play they send to us the next morning, and we get to look at them. And when I wake up, like there was a couple today, and I woke up, I got them both right. and so it's, but the ones that are close, I'll call. I'll get an explanation because we want to do it right. But I think once you bring in review and it's a judgment review, it's not like football. Did the ball cross the plane? That's like if we had review just did the puck cross the goal line, you wouldn't have it. But these are somewhat judgmental calls too, and so I think the league does a good job. I think they explain it well. Are we ever going to 100% agree? Not likely, and especially if you have a vested interest in the game.
Yeah. The body contact with the goaltender, to me, those are less difficult to determine. It's more with the stick and the pad, I think sometimes gets a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it's loose puck. It's loose puck. Again, I think, Andy, because I worked in the league without it. I was here when we brought it in, and I've lived with it. So I have a pretty good feel for it, and I'm a big believer. Like everything evens out in life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to make this a big issue, and if you think the world's out to get you, then you're gonna have to live with those thought process consequences. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like we had the one in San Jose, and I learned a lot from Craig Ruby because I was hot
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't. And I said, I got to learn from that
Wow.
because he realized at the end of the day, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They won the game,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to move on. And I've tried to learn from Craig in that area that you can be as hot as you want, but if you're going to let it consume you, it's like you're going to call the next day and say, you know what, we decided to change the score of the game. It's over. So you gotta learn from it, and you got to move forward. Like there's so many things I learned from Craig, but that was one, just that ability to take bad information and move on. Bob Gainey was a lot like that, and those two people I respect a ton for having that outlook in life.
Yeah, even keel, even keel. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know, you got to turn the page. I can't wait to see what his head looks like when we see him on Saturday night. So. Army, thanks for doing it. I kept you way too long, but I appreciate
That's all. I always enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, all the best. I'll see you at the rink Saturday.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, that was Doug Armstrong. Great conversation with him. I always love having Army on. Always a lot of fun. Great stuff from him. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Put some comments in there. I want to know what you enjoyed the most. Shoot me a private message if you want to. If you don't want to put a comment in there. Appreciate everybody for subscribing. Continue to tell your friends about Hockey Sense. Again, we've been doing this show for over 20 years on the radio, and now we've taken it to a podcast platform. Tell everybody that you know. The people here at Half Coast Studios are incredible, and we certainly appreciate everybody here. All right, from Doug Armstrong, let's now go to Jamal Mayers. Jammer joins us each and every week here on Hockey Sense. What up, Jammer?
How we doing?
I'm good. Finally, we have a Friday. We can kill two birds with one stone. You saw San Jose and St. Louis in the same game.
That was the best part. And I was doing TV, so I was on the bench for the pregame and got to see a different look, different perspective, do my little interview there, and then headed upstairs to call the game. It was fun.
Wasn't the prettiest game. Like, it wasn't a lot of room on the ice. I don't think either team really played, got to their A game, and again, like you see teams that are outside of the playoffs, it kind of is what it is. But nonetheless, it was an exciting finish from a St. Louis perspective.
Honestly, I thought the third period was unreal. The first two periods are kind of more of a chess match, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But that third period, I think you have to be honest that the Sharks dominated the 12 minutes of that third period. It was heavily favored in their favor. And then, you know what? Hofer was really good. I was very impressed with the Blues and how they defended. And some guys I didn't know much about that really jumped off the page for me. And at the top of that list is Mejia. Offensive instincts are tremendous. Didn't think he needed to get into a fight, but he handled himself extremely well. And more importantly, I think they got something special there with that young player, and not knowing much about him. And I think sometimes when you move a guy out, like moving Falk, created the space for him to really take off. And I was really impressed by him.
No doubt. And I just talked to Army about him a lot, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But I mean, Army felt like maybe they put him in a bad spot for much of the season when he first came in, being on the third pair, playing with Tucker. They waited too long to get him with Fowler to play with more of a veteran guy. And now he's playing with Broberg, and he's just really coming into his own. He only had 8 career games or something like that coming into the season. I think it was somewhere in that range. So listen, man, it takes time, but you got to be impressed with this kid, and he's only going to get better. He's so young, Jammer.
What I was most impressed with is, I'm not sure he does this every night, but he has an amazing amount of confidence. Like, it's one thing, the modern defensemen, these young guys, they're not just a part of it on the rush. They're not just a part of it in zone. They stay low when it makes sense.
Yeah.
And that his instincts in that regard are really, really high end. He's got the skill to match. So it's going to be interesting what he does on a full season.
Yeah, he does that every game too. Who's the kid he fought? Because
A stop truck.
he's throwing bombs.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. He doesn't fight very often, but he's a big kid. He's a tough kid, not afraid to mix it up. And, you know, in my opinion, he should do it more, only in the sense that he'll create a little bit more space for himself.
Yeah, Mayu, he told me they had fought one time before, so I would imagine that was in the American League. Had you seen Celebrini look as frustrated as he looked yesterday? He was visibly frustrated, slamming his stick, that type of stuff. Does he typically do that?
No, but I mean, he's never gone 6 games without a point or without a goal.
That'll do
And
it.
I think that, this is a guy who's led the group. I believe he has 96 points
Yeah.
on the season. I'm sure he's 19. Sometimes we forget that. Like, he's 19. And so he's 4 points away from 100 points as a 19-year-old. Like, I'm sure there's a little bit of pressure to get to that number. Just like when I can't even equate to it, but in college when I had 19 and you want to get to 20 and it just it's sitting there, it's right there for him. And so I think there's that frustration that he's having. The game's gotten harder. Teams are defending him harder, and he played much better though. Like, there was another level for him that he got to, I believe, in that third period. And if he does that in the next game against Columbus for the entire game, he's gonna pop off again.
How did you, from the San Jose perspective, break down the final play? Because he was on the ice. I felt like he was on the ice for
Yeah.
like 4 of the 5 minutes. He kind of stopped skating. So I don't know if he got tired or if he just thought the buzzer was going to sound or he didn't think Holloway was going to get to it. Like, how did you guys analyze that?
Yeah, all of the above. I think that, first of all, I think all 3 stopped playing. I think that the Blues didn't stop playing. I think it was a really heads up play, I believe, by Bolberg to have the awareness to get that puck up the ice as quickly as possible. I think Nedeljkovic misplayed it, if I'm being honest. There's no reason for him to be standing on the goal line. Like, I know he was kind of stuck in between, do I go out? Do I not go out? I just don't like to see a short side shelf goal. I mean, it's a tremendous shot,
I got you.
but I don't like when the goaltender, and he played unreal. I mean, I think there was an overtime save where he came across, I believe, on who was it that
Dvorsky?
Dvorsky, when he had enough patience and tried to outweight him, and he did a really nice job sliding with him and gave him nothing. That was an unreal save of the
was.
game. Yeah, I think they just stopped playing. To be honest, I think they thought the game was over. Orlov had a shot, in between the hash marks to end it, misses the net. Next thing you know, there was too much time on the clock, and they end up winning it.
The indirect pass off the boards there by Broberg. How much do you talk to your kids about that? Like, that's such a great
A lot.
play, and I feel like coaches don't teach that. Jeff Brown was really the first one who I remember just really preaching that to young kids, But like, it's such a great play, and defensemen need to know how to be able to make that pass.
They do, and it's funny because we do it. I try to do it almost every practice. I think there's drills you can design for quick ups, regroups. I think a part of that evolution is hitting the dot line, indirect off the boards to space, indirect to actually try to put it on the stick. All of those skills can be learned and taught, and I think they should be encouraged, because as they get older, there's going to be a little more structure in the neutral zone, and you're not going to have the direct plays. Sometimes aren't there, but indirect to space, indirect to a player who's slashing is the next best option that, you have to be able to make as a defenseman. And it's always, for me, when they have the space and the ability, they need to have their post facing up ice. And a lot of times it's less handle. They overhandle the puck. So just keep that puck on the back end. No need to stick handle it. Just hold it until you choose to move it, versus stick handling it. A lot of the defensemen, in my opinion, overhandle it at a young age nowadays.
So when Celebrity's not scoring, like who's the next guy? Like like Wemberg stood out for me yesterday. He scored the goal, hit the crossbar. Obviously, Eklund, he can spin off of guys, has really good edge work and the way he can hang on to pucks. But who's that next guy for you on that team?
Well, it's a great question. I think that's the question they're trying to answer. Historically, it's been Toffoli. I think that he's a little bit long in the tooth. They're hoping that Lisa can be that guy, more of a passer. Um, they certainly hope Sherwood will be that guy to get, be a 25 goal guy. But I think the answer to that question is probably Eklund, if I'm being honest. And I think that he is unbelievable along the boards. I would like to see him getting to the net without the puck more. And they don't have to be highlight reel goals. He can score. He's got to get greasy goals. And to me, it's the difference between him having 14 right now and having 26. He should have 8 happen, rebound type of goals. But that will require him to change his game a little bit and get to the net.
It's amazing though with San Jose. I can't wait to see what they do in the offseason. I want to see which.
Yeah.
And listen, we don't see too many superstars get to free. I guess we do. We see some guys get to free agency, I guess. But it seems like everybody locks up their own guys. But how many guys are going to be like, I want to go play with this kid? And like I'm reading TikTok followers are up over 100%, and Instagram followers are up 35%. Television viewership up 51%. Like San Jose is truly back to where they were during the heyday with Joe Thornton and company.
Yeah, that's all to do with not just Macklin, but with Will Smith and Nisa and Sam Dickinson. There's a lot of good pieces they have in the minors too. And the reality is that, in my opinion, is that not all of those, like, they have high end first round picks that are in the minors that are clawing and scratching to come. There's not room for all 6. There's only 6 spots for the top 6. So I think they can use those assets to pick up an offensive type of defenseman. They're likely to lose 3 of those defensemen that are currently on the roster for next year. So I think that the evolution of Macklin, and I think he's expedited Mike Greer's plan going forward. I do expect him to be active and to try to improve this roster. I'm sure hopeful that they make the playoffs this year, although the recent slide won't help that. But I think next year, I think things change for this group, and I think they're going to have to do some addition to make them better.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see what that contract looks like for Celebrini. I would imagine they'll get to that. Who's their number 1 defenseman right now?
Oh, great question. I probably have to say Orlov.
Okay. He's not our number 1, right? But he is our
Right.
number 1 for San Jose.
And you've got Ferraro, and you've got guys that really aren't the number 1 guy. So that's a great question, and I would argue that they don't have a 2. So they're hoping. I believe that Sam Dickinson can be that too, but I think he's a couple years away from that.
Yeah. Because like if you can get like a maybe draft even a D, they got to find that guy. But again, they're so close and they're so ahead of schedule. I mean, it's hard to be critical of San Jose. How do you look at the race right now in the West? And you look at Utah, who's in a pretty good spot. Nashville right now, they've got that second wild card spot. Do you think at the end of the day that's what it's going to look like when we get to the playoffs? Could LA sneak in? I'm not a big believer in Seattle. I mean, St. Louis is now 6 points out with San Jose. I don't know what that's going to look like and how close they can close the gap. But where do you see this going?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-legged race. I think Utah's going to be in there. I think that they've done enough down the stretch here to get in there. I think you're going to see it. I would agree with you. I think it's Nashville and LA vying for that last spot. I have to think that it's interesting because I can make a case for both. For Nashville, I think they have enough veterans on there to find a way to get in,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of stay focused, not be overwhelmed by the moments. On the LA side of it, you wonder how much that group is going to rally behind Kopitar and getting him in the playoffs for his last year. And so those two factors at play, I think, are going to be really interesting. But um, that's who I think it's going to come down to, if I'm being honest.
Hey, what do you think of the Dubois takedown of Robert Thomas, Pierre-Luc Dubois? He didn't get a game. I talked to people close with player safety. They didn't feel like a suspension was necessary. They didn't feel like it was intentional. So what was your read on that?
I don't think you get a pass for it not being intentional. I think, what do you think's going to happen when you wrap someone's arms up and throw them to the ground when they are defenseless, in my opinion?
And can't use their arms to brace themselves.
Exactly. I think it was careless. I think it was reckless. I don't think it has to be within your character. I think the incident on itself was suspendable and should have been suspended, because no one would have been surprised if Robert Thomas was laying there for 5 minutes after that. I think he was very fortunate not to have been even hurt worse, because he was defenseless, because that guy does weigh over 200 pounds, slamming you to the ice without your arms to protect yourself. I think a missed opportunity to send a message that even if it's not intentional, if you do something reckless, you will be suspended. And I personally believe it's hard, because I think in my opinion, they use precedents too much sometimes and don't just look at what happened. Like, it was reckless, it was careless. He could have got seriously injured. He was injured. You're suspended. Like, I don't think you need to overcomplicate it.
Okay. Well said, Jammer. All right, we're gonna keep this one short. You're in Michigan right now, watching Crew and the 2012 AAA Blues during the USA Hockey Nationals. How are they doing so far?
Well, we lost in overtime in our first game to the Caesars, who are like 5 or 6 in the country. We lost them at Fairfield 3-2 in a very close game. They were the number 1 team in the country. And I think, unfortunately, I think if you lose 2, you don't get to be one of the top 2 to go into Sunday's semifinal. But we did beat Okanagan yesterday 3-0, and then today we played Dallas, and then tomorrow LA. And so proud of the boys. I think we surprised the number 1 team in the country by only losing them by they beat everybody by 8 goals. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of learning for this group, and hopefully they can take these lessons forward for the rest of their hockey careers. But pretty neat experience being here at Nationals, and I know they're happy to represent AAA Blues.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the team kind of flipped a switch down the stretch and started playing their best hockey, which is great to see, because I didn't have you pegged to get here early in the season, Jamal. Just kind of paying attention to all the teams, like the U16s. They've been ranked in the top 5 all year. They've been number 1 for several weeks, and they went into USA Nationals as the number 1 ranked team in the country. It wasn't always the case for you guys. So for you guys to win regional and get to where you're at right now is an accomplishment. So love seeing you guys represent the organization in St. Louis hockey. So good luck today with all of that. Who brings you to Hockey Sense, Jammer?
Well, you know this. It's, Dobbs, who takes care of us. And I told the story a few weeks ago where I was silly enough to drive through the construction site and blew a couple tires, and then decided it would be a good idea to go back 4 days later, and ended up having to change all 4. But the best part about Dobbs is that they take care of you. They didn't sell me the most expensive tire. They said, this is the quality tire that you have now. We can get you these tires. We'll bring them in from a different store. We'll have your car ready by the end of the day, which is exactly what they did, which I needed to do because I was leaving town. And you got to love the people there. They're family owned. They have over 40 locations in the St. Louis area. They have deals on everything. And it doesn't matter what you drive, a car, light truck, van, SUV, hybrid, EV. They'll get your car in, up, fixed, and out the same day. Go to dobb.com for more.
Love it. How about spas and more, baby?
Oh, I know you're trying to steal my sponsor, but don't even, just let me get through the summer. Let me get my Set
I
up
can't wait for my hot tub.
dude, I'm gonna have a hot tub, cold tub, and a sauna. It's gonna be unbelievable. I know you're gonna want to come over.
Oasis, baby. It's gonna be an
don't be
oasis.
Don't be coming over with a rope. You won't be invited. All right, their local Masters Spas dealer with 2 locations, Sunset Hills and Overland Park in Kansas City, Mike Lee is the owner. Masters Spa is an American hot tub swim spa manufacturer located in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They also have those chili goat tubs from Michael Phelps. Can't wait to get mine. Angie Hassan, Mike's daughter, runs the show down there at the Sunset Hills location. Spas and More offers quality hot tubs, swim spas, cold tubs, infrared saunas for people for all of your health, wellness, and relaxation needs. Turn your backyard oasis into the master spas, into your dream, basically, of master spas for Spas and More. They're located at 12957 Gravai Road in Sunset Hills, where we put the
in spa.
There you go.
Listen, I know you're not going to be eating as well as you would be if you were here. I'll
Oh.
tell you that right now.
Well, that's the thing. We don't have the Bartolinos here. I'll tell you, they don't have that. They have 5 restaurants: Bartolino's South, Bartolino's Osteria, Chris's Pancake and Dining, Chris's at the Docket, and Bartolino's Twin Oaks, which is my favorite. Forge many lasting relationships with their customers. Their family model: cook good food, serve plenty. 50+ years in business. Only 2 places to dine: at home or at one of Bartolino's family of restaurants.
There you go. All right, Jammer, great stuff, man. Tell Crew and the boys best of luck, and look forward to seeing the results of those games later on today and tomorrow. And I know your schedule's been crazy too, so it'll slow down. Where are we at next Friday?
I will be in San Jose on Good Friday. So
Okay.
I'll be there, and we'll make sure we do this from another hotel room.
I know. I'll be in LA, so we'll actually be in the same time zone for the first time.
Nice.
So we'll figure that out next week.
That'll
So.
work. That'll work.
All right. Looking forward to it, man. Enjoy the games today.
All right, buddy. Good talk to you.
Talk to you soon. All right. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Winning isn't everything, but it sure is nice. Everyone wants to win. First Community just announced as a winner of America's Best Regional Credit Unions by Newsweek magazine, as well as Plant A Insights Group. Yes, sir. This survey of over 66,000 individuals included over 140,000 reviews of regional banks and credit unions. Only one credit union in St. Louis received this honor, and there's a reason for that. Stop by a First Community location near you to find out. They are the absolute best. Glenn Barks, everybody over there. Laura, unbelievable team over at First Community. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Download that app and do it today. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Blue Note Roofing, 314-920-5713. Call David Novak today. Gutters, soffit, fascia, roofing, siding, whatever it is you're looking for, he can help you out. Give you that free estimate and talk pucks with you. Lordo's Diamonds, get that special someone, something special in your life. Lordo'sDiamonds.com, 314-432-8008. Right there in the heart of Ladue. You can't miss it. We love our friends over at Lordo's Diamonds. Looking to pop the question, whatever it is you're looking to do. Easy Tiger Cannabis, EasyTigerAZ.com. Look for Easy Tiger products in a location near you. They're going to be nationwide before you know it. Easy Tiger. It's smooth. It's good. And it can help you with whatever you need. You have pain, arthritis, sleep issues, glaucoma. This is geared to help everybody. Talk to one of the experts and find out what product is best suited for you. EasyTigerAZ.com. All right. Frontenac Detailing right there in the Honda Frontenac location. Can't miss that. Right there in Frontenac, Missouri. I had my car detailed there. They did an incredible job. They're the absolute best. Get that wax coating. Ask about that. Frontenac Detailing. Look them up. Call them today. Kirkwood Fence. They're amazing people over there at Kirkwood Fence. Get the fence that's best for you. Improve the overall look of your property with a beautiful new fence from Kirkwood Fence. Hackett Security. I'll tell you what, when I'm on the road, I feel comfortable knowing my family is secure with Hackett Security. Get a home security system that suits your needs with Hackett Security. Get the camera system, make sure everybody is protected. They do commercial businesses as well, government offices. They take care of so many different people. High-ranking government officials are secure with Hackett Security. All right, we appreciate Doug Armstrong for joining us. We appreciate Jamal Mayers for joining us. We thank the one and only Aiden in the back and everybody here at Half Coast Studios. I'm Andy Strickland, reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice. We'll do it again next week. I'll be in Anaheim on Friday. We'll have to figure out a time to get that done, but we will get that done next week. From the road, as it's the final long road trip of the season for the St. Louis Blues. So we'll see how that road trip goes next week as the Blues go to San Jose, then LA, then Anaheim, then Colorado. They got a 4-game trip. It's a long one for the Blues before they come back home and continue on with their April schedule and close out the regular season. And we'll see how much of a push they can continue to make into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Really appreciate your support, everybody out there, for watching Hockey Sense each and every week. Please subscribe. Please let me know what you like about the show. Leave me a comment, and hope everybody enjoyed this week's episode. Have a great weekend, everybody.